Hey everyone, it's Pooh again. Now, I really wanted to talk a little bit more about how Lil Wayne is still not down with the BLM movement, but instead, I'm going to talk about how men suck because they can't take injectionable birth control. Let's get into it.
Okay, everyone who is not looking to get pregnant right now, we have some amazing news. A new hormonal birth control shot for men is in the works. Oh wait, they've halted the study. Why?
Well, to answer the question why, let's get a few particulars out of the way. First, let's talk about exactly what these men were being shot up with. So these subjects were injected with 1,000 milligrams of a synthetic form of testosterone and 200 milligrams of sorry, I'm going to try to say this, norethistérone enanthate, essentially a derivative of the female hormones progesterone and estrogen, referred to as quote-unquote progestin in the synthetic form. Basically, what's being injected here is synthetic testosterone, which is a naturally occurring hormone in men, with synthetic hormones that are naturally occurring in women and are often used, the second part anyway, in female contraception. Well, actually, as to the why, let me go ahead and let this lady say what she's got to say.
We have needed male birth control for so long.
Presented with no further commentary.
Oh, because 6% of the male participants said they couldn't handle the side effects? Wow, those must have been really awful, since side effects for women like depression, mood swings, low libido, weight gain, I've had them, my friends have had them, we've all had them. Poor guys.
Aww. It's only supposition on my part, but I'm going to guess that you are trying to make some kind of correlation between your moods and depression with your birth control. Well, let's have a look at that. This from the Connections website, Moods and Hormones, Emotional Health and Well-Being Throughout the Life Cycle. Hormones are very powerful substances in our bodies and indicated by the fact that such minute quantities produce such profound effects. Hormones are also very selective, generally having very specific and limited functions. These two characteristics help explain why we get so out of whack when hormonal conditions are not quite right. Some people may argue that our moods are affected by many factors, including our social and physical environment, diet, exercise, and daily sleep patterns, just to name a few. But the reality is that those same factors also significantly affect our hormones, which regulate our brain's response system and thereby determine our moods. I'll let you folks pause here if you want to read the rest of it. Point being, off or on birth control, you may still experience the aforementioned effects. Birth control does very likely play a factor in all that, but it isn't necessarily the main determinant.
Wait, the negative side effects were depression, mood swings, libido all over the place, and muscle pain?
Well, let me see if I can mansplain this for you. And frankly, I'm tired of you trying to approach this from a woman's perspective instead of a man's perspective. That means you're womansplaining. This is from the actual study itself. This is Table 1, the participants' baseline. And what I want to focus on here, first, the number of participants, which is 320, and then the age group. Don't really care much about the ethnic groups. But as you can see here, there's a median of 32 years of age, with the actual ages spanning from ages 27 to 36. What we're talking about here is a sample size of men who have very likely never experienced things like depression, mood swings, muscle cramps, at least abdominally, nor any of the effects that come with either a menstrual cycle or any kind of other hormonal enhancements that birth control in women often affect. So this was pretty new to these guys. I would venture a guess that most, if not all of them, had never experienced any of this. And they didn't like it. So, yeah, 20 of them dropped out of the study for good reason. I mean, because these are men that are used to the way their bodies work after first getting their hormonal or growth spurt when they turned about the age of 18 and completed it within 3 years. Some of them a little earlier, some of them a little longer maybe, but this is the way they have felt since they were teenagers. Women, on the other hand, tend to be a little bit different if they, depending on whether or not their doctor suggested that they get on birth control at the age of 16 or an earlier age, depending on their physiology. As I mentioned, overall, 20 men dropped out early due to side effects. Now check this out. A total of 1,491 adverse events were reported by participants, including injection site pain, muscle pain, increased libido, and acne, as the chick had mentioned. The researchers say that nearly 39% of these symptoms, including one death by suicide, were unrelated to the shots. Now, let's keep in mind, this is what the researchers are saying. But let me go back to this 1491 number here. There were only 320 men involved in this study. And amongst those 329, almost, let's see, about almost, well, I'm just going to say about 4.5 times of adverse events were reported. 4.5 times the amount of people involved in this study. Now, the researchers can say that the symptoms were unrelated to the shot, but really, including injection site pain, that had nothing to do with the shot. Yeah, I think it's within the realm of possibility, actually very damn good reason, that at least that symptom had to do with the shot. The death, on the other hand, they could probably, there's a bit more plausible deniability there. But just because they say it, I don't know, especially if some of the side effects included depression or mood swings.
Well, it's smart to stop a study for safety.
Well, good. I'm glad you think so. I'm glad you're not going to come down on the men's for not being able to handle the study, handle side effects that they never felt before. By the way, something else I'd like to point out is that men and women tend to have differences in their thresholds of pain. So I'm sorry if your birth control gives you these side effects, but stop taking them. I guess we'll talk about that here in a little bit more.
We want to call out the double standard.
The only double standard that exists is the one in your head.
Women have been experiencing these side effects for decades, but when people with vaginas complain, we're told, oh, it's all in your head.
As it was pointed out earlier, yes, it may very well be in your head. Your hormones, whether they're on birth control or not, can affect the way your brain functions. Yeah. And damn it, if birth control is adversely affecting you so much, and you don't have to have it for medical reasons, such as, endometriosis, or if you're trying to keep your menstrual cycles balanced, then stop taking them. There are options.
Or suck it up. This is the price you pay for reproductive freedom.
It's only a price you pay if you're willing to pay it. Again, you may not necessarily have to be specifically on the freaking pill.
We want better birth control for women and men.
As I said, you do have options. This isn't necessarily a one-size-fits-all discussion that we have to have. And right now, like it or not, this injection was halted by the researchers, not by the men, for various reasons.
It's time to share the responsibility.
What kind of silly-ass argument is this? What, we can't share the responsibility unless men are taking birth control chemically? A condom's not good enough? I mean, Jesus, if you really want to share the responsibility, you do birth control on multiple levels, not just one. Birth control, whether it be diaphragm, female condom, birth control, sponge, whatever. I'm sorry you don't like the fact that right now all a man has to worry about is slipping on a condom. But too freaking bad. Boo freaking who. Again, if you don't like being on birth control or don't need, if you don't need to be, then get off of it. There is no one forcing you to be on birth control unless you need it for medical purposes. That is, to not keep yourself from being pregnant. Thank you so much. It's all these whiny asses that are talking about how these men dropped out of this study, not really understanding that all of these side effects were new to these men who were already grown-ass men, not teenagers. It might be a little bit different if there was a birth control pill for men that they started taking right at about the time that they hit pubescence. And I also love how they failed to mention that 75% of the participants, that's 280 of them, would be open to taking the injection. For fuck's sakes. Yeah, all you whiny asses. This is you who has flung the poo. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys.